All right, so Marjorie Taylor Greene had a pretty wild speech on the House floor the other day where she was basically attacking somehow both the Green New Deal and this $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation plan that is currently being negotiated. And she doesn't really seem to be able to tell the difference between these two policies, but she used this opportunity on the House floor to attack both of these things and basically say that they are a deep state communist plot to try to overthrow the grand capitalist system that we currently have. So without further ado, I want to hand this over to Marjorie Taylor Greene, where she again is saying the Green New Deal would destroy our economy, kill our jobs, and decimate entire industries. It's an America last communist scheme that would only benefit the CCP, and it's inside the Democrats' infrastructure bill and Biden's $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation plan. So here is Marjorie Taylor Greene on that.
A regular American citizen that decided to run for Congress and won my race representing Georgia's 14th district. I'm here to speak on behalf of the American people and how outraged we are at the policies of the Green New Deal, which are in the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill and the $3.5 trillion budget, because these policies are the most America last policies. As a matter of fact, they do nothing but put China first. Taylor, you can put up number 2 now. So we'll go ahead and address what these policies are that are so shocking to me. And if the American people actually knew what these policies are, these globalist America Last policies are, I believe they would be ringing every single phone up here, probably demanding that Congress go home, because America is only safe when Congress is out of session. But unfortunately, Congress is in session, so let's tell the truth about what's happening. You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real. The Green New Deal, surprise, serves China and China only.
I mean, listen, man, you cannot get more ridiculous than this at face value. I mean, look at the meme that she fucking brought up. We have memes that have officially entered the houses, the floor of the House and the Senate, okay? They are officially using memes to describe the problems that they're facing. And also, did you notice how Marjorie Taylor Greene, a member of Congress, said that the only time that Congress is effective is when they're not in session? Why the fuck are you a member of Congress if you believe that the one thing that's your job, like showing up and actually passing legislation, is completely useless? Why exactly are you occupying this position if you don't want to have anything to do with actually doing the job description? But whatever, the main point is, look at this fucking meme that she just brought onto the House floor and put in front of everybody. This is what she thinks the Green New Deal is. Let's see, you see the Scooby-Doo meme here, and honestly, you gotta respect it. I wish we would see more memes coming to the House floor. It's obviously pretty entertaining, and you know, I mean, just as in terms of what the actual substance is behind this, there is no substance behind this, right? I shouldn't even have to say that. Obviously, she's very confused about a lot of things here, right? On the one hand, she's confused about what the Green New Deal actually is. She has no idea what the Green New Deal actually is, what's involved in it. It's a pretty wide-reaching policy that would have a lot of implications in multiple different sectors of the economy. You would be trying to aggressively phase out fossil fuels, and so I guess that's what she means by destroying industries, but these industries are destroying themselves as climate change continues to ravage the planet. And in addition to that, it has policies, you know, ranging from public housing to immigration reform to building up transportation, creating millions of good-paying union jobs. So it does absolutely none of the things that she just described. It's certainly not communism or socialism. I guess you could say it has some socialist policies in it, like providing public housing as a human right, providing healthcare as a human right, etc. But no, I mean, it's not some secret plot to help the Chinese government in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it would actually make America stronger and more competitive with China, if that's the mindset that you want to go with. You know, what is China doing right now? I mean, China is investing substantially in renewable energy because they, while they are also a massive polluter, they recognize that that is where the future is heading. And it's people like Marjorie Taylor Greene who pretend to care about the future of America and pretend to care about protecting American jobs here. Well, the way that you would do that is by investing in where the future is telling us that we need to go. And not just because of climate change, but just because of global trends as well. The advantage for the United States right now is to take over that potential market in the future, the renewable energy market, right? So we should be investing heavily in renewable energies. We should be trying to phase out fossil fuels as quickly as possible to avoid as much and mitigate as much of the damages that are going to be inevitable from climate change. So we should be investing way more heavily in those things, and it would benefit us economically into the future to have that energy independence, to not have to be relying on Saudi Arabian oil, and instead being able to rely on, you know, windmills in Kansas or, you know, solar panels in Nevada. I mean, we could be doing these things domestically. We could be investing. We could be building up our infrastructure and expanding the economy, creating millions of new jobs. Obviously, that's not important to Marjorie Taylor Greene. She doesn't really care about anything other than being a silly partisan hack, as we can see clearly from the memes that she is using right here. Pretty weak memes, if you ask me, at least. But continuing, just to give you an actual idea of what is in this $3.5 trillion bill, because the Green New Deal and this $3.5 trillion bill are not the same thing. And while there are some policies that you could argue are somewhat overlapping between them, it's not even remotely similar. But just to give you an idea of what Marjorie Taylor Greene is arguing against by coming out against this $3.5 trillion bill. So what's in the $3.5 trillion Democratic proposal? Well, here's just a very basic outline. So $135 billion for the Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry, funding to be used to address forest fires, reduce carbon emissions, and address drought concerns, all pretty concerning things if you are somebody who has been experiencing a lot of these forest fires that have been ravaging across the western half of the United States. $332 billion for the Banking Committee, including investments in public housing, desperately needed, the Housing Trust Fund, housing affordability, and equity and community land trusts. $198 billion for the Energy and Natural Resources Committee. This would develop clean energy. $67 billion for the Environmental and Public Works Committee. These monies would fund low-income solar and other climate-friendly technologies. $1.8 trillion for the Finance Committee. This part of the bill is for investments in working families, the elderly, and the environment. It includes a tax cut for Americans making less than $400,000 a year, so a tax cut for working class Americans, lowering the price of prescription drugs, and ensuring the wealthy and large corporations pay their fair share. Again, we're going to have to see how much Democrats are willing to fight for those lowering of prescription drug costs, because obviously some corporate members of the Democratic Party are currently trying to block that provision. But continuing, $726 billion for Health, Labor, Education, and Pensions Committee. This addresses universal pre-K for 3 and 4 year olds, child care for working families, tuition-free community college, funding for historically black colleges and universities, and an expansion of the Pell Grant for higher education. $37 billion for HSGAC Committee. This would electrify federal vehicle fleet, electrify and rehab federal buildings, improve cybersecurity infrastructure, reinforce border management, invest in green materials procurement, and invest in resilience. $107 billion for the Judiciary Committee. These funds addressing establishing lawful permanent status for qualified immigrants. Again, it's questionable whether or not this will be included, because again, we have the all-powerful and almighty Senate parliamentarian weighing in on that. But continuing, $20.5 billion for the Indian Affairs Committee, $25 billion for Small Business Committee, $18 billion for Veterans Affairs, and $83 billion for the Commerce Committee, and that's going to go towards investments in technology, transportation, research, manufacturing, and economic development. So you see what's actually in the $3.5 trillion plan. All of those policies that I just listed are overwhelmingly favored by the American people, and of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene opposes them. Why? Because she serves, just like every other member of the Republican Party, she serves her donor class, okay? She serves the people who fund her campaigns, and the people who fund her campaigns are either completely insane right-wing nut jobs, or they are billionaires, they are gigantic corporations, and they have a vested interest in policies that do not help the American people, but instead help their bottom lines and expand their profits. So that's the reality of what we actually have here. Marjorie Taylor Greene not only is not correct on the policy issues, she's also very on the wrong side in terms of popularity on these policy issues, and in addition to that, obviously from the memes that she's using, she doesn't even understand the difference between the Green New Deal and the $3.5 trillion bill, and she also doesn't understand what would actually be best for the United States moving forward. We should be working with China, okay? We should not be continuing this Cold War propaganda. We should be working with China to combat climate change because it's a global threat that's going to impact all of us, and Marjorie Taylor Greene is too stupid to understand any of this.